Hey, what's up, PUF? Time for another podcast. This is actually the first video recorded in my sophomore year dorm, so mazel tov. Hashtag PlusUltraFam shoutouts to my good buddy Dread Trex, ACG97, Ace Play as 03, Big Daddy 2 Chains, Alejandro's Rita, Ultra Instinct Cat, Noob Sauce, Tom Gar, Devin Tucker, Speedy 47, Electric Skull, Sheridan Road, Navrita Dreamer, What If Universe, Cam Worley, JoJo Johnson, Young Lightning, Licky Caden, 8 Gohan, Quentin Sands, Daniel Smith, Doko, Artez, Dex Comics, Rose Goku Black, Mr. Patriot, Hakai Master, Instinct Itachi, Xavier Triggs, The Epic Slayer, Golden K88, Cillian Faye, EJ Hagen, Mondo Cool, XXX, Aaliyah XXX, Ikeda Type 25, Afro Frenzy XL, Landon Westcott, Corrupted Gaming, and Son Goku SSJ Blue. And last but certainly not least, the Anime Noob. Probably won't be doing that many shoutouts in one sitting ever again. I just felt like since we took a long break from making content, it was kind of worth it. And a very quick interesting comment. Dread Trex asks if it's possible for podcast what ifs to become main series what if with all the editing and music and stuff like that. And yeah, it actually is. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you'll actually know why I'm saying that, and you actually know that there's going to be a what if that was formulated in the podcast coming out as a main series for the 25,000 subscriber special really soon. There's actually a possibility for you guys to get 2 of those at the time of recording, but for that, you guys are going to have to go over to Twitter and check out what's there. Remember, it is almighty_dev. Go check, follow, like the post, and then you'll get that. You guys all pretty much unanimously voted to continue Every What If done in episode number 8 of the podcast, and we skipped that for episode 9, so let's jump right back in with 0 recap. If you do need that recap, go watch episode 8 and come back, and while you're there, type #refresher. On the day the Saiyans arrive, King Kai still makes his mistake of telling Goku the wrong time, and Goku has to make up for it by racing down Snake Way. Thankfully, he does have an idea in this timeline. Goku has a long history of appropriating the techniques of his friends like Tien's Solar Flare or Krillin's Destructo Disc, so he thinks to do the same to Yamcha for one. Activating the Wolf Fang Cloak, he's able to give his speed a major boost and begins racing down Snake Way at speeds much faster than what he did in canon. Though it's very clear he is not as good as Yamcha is at this technique because his ki is draining much faster. Back on the battlefield, the smack talk and playing of the Cybermen goes very similar. Yamcha takes one out and calls for the other Cybermen to attack him all at once. He's then hugged like in canon, but here, he activates his perfected Wolf Fang form, and he is now moving at a speed that makes the resulting explosion move in slow motion. This allows him to grab the Cybermen and throw it to his brethren, causing them all to detonate all at once. Nappa and Vegeta are pretty surprised at this. Vegeta's scouter had just read that human's power level at 4,500. Normally they would play this off as a malfunction, but Raditz had also read Krillin's power rise drastically, and Yamcha had undergone some kind of transformation when he did that. This causes Vegeta to chuckle, and he tells Nappa to go full power. The Brute is elated and begins powering up, but a giant green fist collides with his body, sending him flying across the horizon. Piccolo gloats that with their transformations, almost everyone here is stronger than Nappa. Vegeta rolls his eyes and tells the weaklings to wait. Nappa was probably unconscious after that blow, and they were way too weak for him to fight. If he killed the Namekian by accident, this would be a whole waste of time. They are given the time to wait while Nappa recovers and Goku arrives, 3 hours. 1 hour after this, Goku's increased speed from the Wolf Fang form has pushed him into the world of living much earlier than in canon. Everyone feels a massive power, almost as strong as Vegeta, appear before dropping down drastically. Goku is now the Nimbus. Nappa would actually awaken pretty close to this time and begin trying to find his way back to the battlefield, but with no scouter, this is a major problem. Vegeta realizes how bad this can get. With Kakarot as strong as he is, and the humans being able to raise their power levels so drastically, this is very dangerous. Instantly, he rushes in to call some of the pests. First up is Krillin, who he tries to behead with a chop to the neck, but a swift transformation to his improved Orin form renders his skin hard enough for Vegeta's blow to merely bruise him and send a huge shockwave going all around them. This is a signal for all the Z-Fighters to gank up Vegeta, and this puts him at a severe disadvantage. Gohan isn't ready for this and cowers a bit, as the more experienced warriors take on the same. Yamcha and Tien, while transformed, begin to distract Vegeta, while Chaozu latches onto his back. Using his vampire form, he quickly begins to drain Vegeta's ki and even bites into his neck to speed this process up. Piccolo even steps in and holds Vegeta down with the big demon fist technique. This had been his strategy for the entire time, but he also wanted Gohan to attack, and with him not doing so, it makes the plan much less effective, and with this, Vegeta is actually able to break out. If he was only a bit weaker or the Z-Fighters stronger, they would have been able to take him out this way. Using an explosive wave, he blows them all away from him, and this actually kills Chaozu in the process. Vegeta prepares his Gallic gun and fires it at the still scared Gohan, causing Piccolo to sacrifice himself. Vegeta right now is about 16,500 in power level, since he's had some ki drained and he's been beat up a bit. He contends with the remaining Z Fighters before Goku returns, and he and Vegeta instantly go at it. Goku using the Kaioken is nearly even with him, and this fight becomes truly epic because they are pretty much going blow for blow here. Nappa is finally able to find his way back and must fight Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin, and a now enraged Gohan. Tien lets out his rage and uses the divine form Kikoho, an attack that reduced the recoil of the regular form at the cost of the user's sight. It is well worth it to obliterate Nappa at full power though. Goku vs Vegeta then ends the exact same, and his friends respect Goku enough to spare Vegeta at his request. The plan to go to Namek is the same as well, and Vegeta, due to the harder fight, gets a larger Zenkai. We'll actually place him at 25,000 here. Tien and Yamcha accompany Bulma and the others to planet Namek. With 4 people there for image training, it's arguable to say that the whole team is much stronger after the 6-month trip. I will also say that Gohan learns a lot from Tien in terms of martial arts during this time. This gives him the ability to mix his Demon Clan fighting style in with the Crane School fighting style. They are all about 2,000 and up on arrival, and that's not full power. With this increased strength in their forms, the Z Fighters are a much harder force to deal with, and as such, when Midori is sent to chase them down, they are able to transform and work together to bring him down. Vegeta spends his time doing the same things, but now wants to reach Super Saiyan a lot more than in canon. If lowly humans could transform, then so could he, damn it. So a lot of the Namek arc is very similar. Goku has set off, and the Z Fighters, Vegeta, and Frieza begin to truly wrestle over control of the Dragon Balls. Vapor quickly finds all his forces have been wiped out after Vegeta and Zarbon have a much closer fight, and the Saiyan is healed up, now having a higher Zenkai. I think after a long, more drawn out fight with a stronger opponent, placing him at 35,000 is extremely logical here. So the Z Fighters collect the Dragon Balls and have their power unlocked by Guru, before running into Vegeta again. We'll say around this time, they're all nearly 15,000 to 20,000 power level. The Ginyu Force arrived, but this couldn't be further from in canon. With their increased power levels and their transformations, and better control over their transformations, let's say their forms have evolved to push to a 5 times multiplier. This would mean that even the weakest of the Z Fighters can push their power level to that of 75,000, way over the 60,000 that Captain Ginyu says would be required to take out the Ginyu Force, save for him. Yamcha's armor makes him faster than Berter, and he and Jace play a deadly game of baseball, as Tien and Krillin take on Raccoon, while Gohan reduces Gordo to dust. Ginyu is forced to stay with the group in order to pack up his men, who are mostly gone by now. Luckily for them, none of the Z Fighters, even with their extra forms, are able to exceed Ginyu's base power, meaning he has no reason to body switch with them. He is then put in a 5-on-1 battle with opponents who have transformations, insane techniques, and pretty good teamwork, and Tien always has his one-hit KO maneuver in this timeline. So he's actually defeated by the time Goku arrives, and the group decide to return to Guru's house to get the password and meet Dende early. Guru offers to unlock Goku's hidden potential, but he actually turns it down once to unlock it himself. So with all the Dragon Balls gathered, the wishes to revive Piccolo and bring in Namek are made, and when Vegeta's immortality is shut down, he demands a new wish instantly: return the tails of Gohan, Kakarot, and him. Everyone is confused why he'd do this, and he tells them what his plan is. Vegeta pulls Gohan and Goku aside, explaining to them how to control themselves in that form. He's had an idea, and he knows Goku will understand, so he stresses one thing to them: your grade 8 form is basically your base form when transformed. This gives Goku a massively awesome idea. Piccolo finds Nail, and those two fuse, now being extremely powerful and having perfected the giant demon fist. Frieza finally arrives and is furious. Goku is still at 90,000, though it's very arguable that Vegeta would have, kind of told Dende to heal them after they were hurt to give them Zenkai boost, but I feel like Goku wouldn't really go for this in this situation, especially not with this new idea of using Ozaru. Vegeta is only at 45,000 due to not getting a great Zenkai boost, and by this time the Guru power boost has ended its continuous growth. Let's list Gohan and base at 60,000, Yamcha at 70,000, Krillin at 80,000, and Tien at 85,000. The team basically jumped Frieza with no one able to really take on the Emperor alone. I'm also going to say that Goku can now use a Kaioken times 10 and only a Kaioken times 10, which is enough to kill First Form Frieza, but the strain is massive. Before he can even do so, the Emperor is already transforming. Piccolo arrives to the battlefield, and his moment in this arc is way cooler because he's stronger and able to smash not only Second Form Frieza, but Third Form Frieza with his massive punches and huge ki blasts. Seeing Frieza's final form, Vegeta finally throws out his Power Ball, and the Saiyans transform, but unfortunately, Gohan and Goku are still unable to contain themselves. Vegeta and the Z Fighters spend their time trying to get them under control while Piccolo is still fighting Frieza. After a little bit and being called out to, Goku is finally able to control himself. In his deep grade 8 voice, he calls out to Gohan,
"Son, you gotta get it under control.
and this is actually able to bring the boy out of his own madness. He then calls to Frieza and tells him to watch, as the Saiyans he looked so far down on surpassed him. Vegeta is up first, and he surprises everyone and is able to use the Wolf Fang armor form around his Ozaru form, actually giving Yamcha a really cool idea as well. This is now a 50 times multiplier, making him about equal or a little under 2% Frieza. Goku takes an even bigger risk. He does the same thing but growls as he tries to fuse two techniques with one, to his grade 8 form, the Wolf Fang armor and the Kaioken times 10. Instantly, the strain of this hypothetical 500 time multiplier is way too much, and Goku has maybe a few seconds to end this fight. And that actually puts him at 45,000 in power level. He and Vegeta attack in unison and land some extremely devastating blows on Frieza, but only seconds later, Goku's body drops completely unconscious and Frieza shoots a death beam directly through his chest. This actually kills Goku, and Vegeta goes right after him. Gohan cries seeing this, and something incredible begins to happen. As he throws another tantrum in his Ozaru form, his brown graded hair begins to shine a bright gold, and he loses control once again, though he is able to aim himself at Frieza through his rage. The golden Ozaru had been born, and being a 30 million power level and very out of control, Gohan loses really easily. But the humans in Piccolo have already thought of a really good plan. As soon as Gohan is defeated, Frieza is actually getting a bit tired, and he is faced with a firing squad of attacks he won't be able to withstand. Somehow, Piccolo has charged a special beam cannon with a giant fist he uses. Tien has grown 4 arms instead of 2, and is charging up a divine Kikoho, ready to sacrifice even more of his eyesight. Krillin's orange form is glowing bright as he charges a Super Kamehameha, and Yamcha has formed a giant wolf body similar to that of the Ozaru, though the Wolf Fang armor. He has it stand on all fours and charges a big mouth blast, which is actually Kamehameha, and all 4 attacks fly at once. The Yamcha thing was actually a reference to the Tail Beast Ball. This onslaught is way too much for Frieza, who gets evaporated. Namek is actually saved, and Goku and Vegeta have to be wished back but decide to spend the next year training in Otherworld, which would actually make them crazy strong, and they could possibly discover Super Saiyan, the Golden Ozaru form, controlled Golden Ozaru, and maybe even Super Saiyan 4. I'll be leaving this scenario here for now, but for a soft ending, let's just say the Z Fighters are crazy strong from here on out, each and every one of them, and pretty much everyone stays relevant. I really did love this scenario, as I just started to do things which I thought were cool fanfiction ideas that I would never really do in my normal what ifs, but I don't want to keep doing this one to be fair to others, so we will have a new Dragon Ball what if after this one. Jumping back to the Titan Deku scenario, with Deku entering UA, his first day is extremely hectic. Bakugo, having not seen him at the exams, is shocked and angry, and probably constantly pesters him about how he's even here. But those questions are answered when the quirk assessment test comes around. Deku walks outside with his classmates before biting his hand. Long story short, he ends up number 1 in this scenario. Or extremely close to the pack at least. Based on the events they have to do, if you're a giant Titan, you have to run, let's say 10 meters, you're going to do that in 1 step and have that done in 3 seconds. So just about anything they have to do, as long as they take place within 10 minutes of each other, he's going to pretty much be able to dominate everything. So now Bakugo is pretty much enraged, and this makes a very similar situation to in canon. So we'll actually skip now to their first combat training test, and we will not randomize the encounters. With this anger, Bakugo is pushed to be a lot more aggressive with Deku. I actually think that Bakugo and Ida win against Deku and Ochaku here. Deku isn't really willing to transform in such a small, cramped space where he could injure his teammate or set up the weapon, so he fights his rival hand to hand. But with Bakugo so angry, he is gunning for Deku's head and not pulling any punches. We likely see how good Deku's generation is after Bakugo hits him with one of his full power blasts, blowing him out of the building and knocking him out. After that though, Bakugo and Ida could be disqualified, just cause that was extremely dangerous and a lot more force than was really needed, and he may have to face some disciplinary action. While Deku is in the infirmary, All Might visits him and explains that he thinks Deku needs to develop a way to fight in smaller environments. That should definitely be his next goal over anything. The USJ attack is up next, and yes, it is still attacked by the villains. We'll say everyone ends up in the same area as in canon, and Deku panics a bit, but tells his classmates to stay calm and jump onto him once he transforms. He jumps off the boat and takes a big chomp of his hand, forming his largest Titan body ever so he can land in the water and not sink. The fodder villains are then dispatched really easily, just with Deku making huge waves or maybe like kicking them out of the water and stuff like that, and he begins to run around the facility, saving his classmates and teachers and getting them out of danger. He is able to actually do this semi-successfully, though those like Bakugo, Todoroki, Kirishima, they'll jump right back into fighting, but thus this frees up 13 and Eraserhead to go all out against their villains, so both her and Aizawa are still fighting by the time that All Might arrives. I'd actually say in this situation, All Might and Eraserhead are such a powerful team, this fight goes extremely easily for them, and Shigaraki and Kurogiri are knocked unconscious, and mysteriously are warped away as All Might takes on Nomu. His shock absorption could be nullified, meaning All Might's blows are extremely effective until Eraser has to close his eyes. Now with Shigaraki not there, All Might doesn't know that Nomu's quirk is shock absorption and not shock nullification, so he continues attacking without the goal to overload him. This results in him tiring out very quickly, and having his injury attacked in a much more gruesome way than in canon. This stops All Might in his tracks, and as the pros and students rush to help him, another blast of yellow lightning strikes Deku, and he rushes the Nomu in another giant Titan form, and literally punts him out of the USJ, and hell, maybe even in space like on some Doomsday stuff. Either way, he won't be coming back, and he's not really going to be a threat anymore. Before the other pros can even arrive, Deku scoops up All Might and frantically rushes him to the nearest hospital, terrified that his hero may not make it. All Might would make a slow recovery, and the news would spread that the USJ had been attacked and the number one hero put in critical condition. UA's reputation and plain old Hero Society now have a lot of damage done to it. I actually think that Deku will continue training and creating a small Titan form as much as possible and visits All Might almost every day. During this time, the sports festival is announced and All Might receives even more visitors. One we know very well, which is Gran Torino, and another who, at the time of this recording, you who are anime only haven't really gotten to know extremely well yet. But this one isn't really a huge spoiler. His name is Sir Night-Eye. You've actually seen him in some of the Season 4 previews. When All Might nearly dying, he feels that it is a big enough emergency to reveal himself and go and speak to All Might. Both Night-Eye and Gran Torino express basically the same thing. All Might needs to pass on One for All ASAP, though Night-Eye is a lot more pushy and judgmental though. So because of this, All Might has made up his mind to pass up One for All, but not to who Night-Eye wants. Both his choices already have pretty powerful quirks, but the boy he wants has proven to have a heart a lot like his own. The world would always need a symbol of peace in his opinion. So he calls Deku to the hospital and informs him of this, but I think Deku will reject this power. I mean, think about it, he is already extremely powerful in this timeline already, and thinking back to when he felt quirkless, it makes him think the right thing to do would be to give the power to another quirkless person who has a good heart. And I feel like All Might would really like this train of thought and actually plans a trip to America to meet with a very old friend to speak to them about this. During this time, Deku would go on to compete in the sports festival, and not to mince words, he whoops ass. The first two challenges, like the race and the cavalry battle, are just settled so easy just by changing to a Titan form. It's not even funny. All he really has to do is just cover his points up as a Titan and he's done, or just run through the race and he's done. The big challenge comes in the one-on-one battles. If Deku transforms a third time, he reaches his daily limit. So I say he fights at least Shinso hand to hand. He could possibly win this, but if he brainwashed him, it's over. Fighting against Todoroki is a definite need to transform into at least a smaller Titan body, so even if he were able to do so, he would probably win that. But if he did, he would then have used his third form for the day, and he'd probably lose to Bakugo in the finals. Now I think that after two battles with Deku where he doesn't become a Titan, Bakugo is even more angry than in canon, so the league truly views him as a possible villain recruit. We would then move into the internships, where I actually think that Deku interns with Mount Lady, or the most underutilized hero in the series, Godzilla. Either way, Deku's gonna learn a lot about fighting while he's a giant, or maybe trying to utilize his giant form to do, less damage. It'll be a lot of good training for him. Now, nothing has changed between Stain and Ingenium, meaning that Ida is still angry and hunting Stain down. And in this timeline, he would likely die against him. It's arguable that Deku would still think about going to check on him, but it's also arguable that where his mentor has him trained, it may be way too far away. For now, I'm going to say that Ida actually dies in this timeline, leaving 1A down a member. There would be a lot of mourning, and again, UA's reputation is pretty shitty at the moment because they just let a student die. But one ray of hope appears. All Might finally returns from America with a brand new student for 1A, Melissa Shield. The events of the movie actually wouldn't even happen here. If David finds out that All Might can pass down the power, then he would have probably scrapped his amplifier, meaning that Wolfram and his men are never hired, and that would make breaking into Island way too hard for them. Melissa would slowly bond with the class and encourage them to keep going in memory of Ida, as she tries to become the new #1 hero, though she has many rivals, including the Titan hero, Deku. But we will leave this story here for now, and I probably will be doing a new My Hero story next week. And finally, back to the Team Guy Naruto scenario. Lee and Naruto actually challenged Sasuke and Neji to a fight using only taijutsu, while Lee takes on Sasuke and Naruto Neji. Honestly, it's a good fight on both ends. They aren't really equals, but Naruto and Lee probably have better taijutsu, yet the two others are naturally talented, and this doesn't really stop Guy from appearing and bonking Naruto and Lee on the head, to Tenten's embarrassment. The reason goes pretty easy because Tenten helps everyone on her team cheat. The Forest of Death goes really simple for Team 9. Team 7 goes through hell though. Let's assume that Orochimaru takes on Neji and Sasuke and is actually very impressed with both, deciding to bestow his gift to both boys as they will both be very good vessels. Sasuke is still his top priority, it's just that Neji is also very strong and very talented, and it never hurts to have insurance. Though in this timeline, Team 9 all appear to help with Team Jotsu, and I also see them being beaten before Neji and Sasuke even wake up by Naruto, Lee, and Tenten. The prelim rounds, however, are not the same. I'm switching Lee and Naruto here because why not? Lee absolutely slaps Kiba just really easily, and Naruto takes on Gaara. It's a very hard fight battle, but as Gaara breaks Naruto down, red chakra begins to cover Naruto, and he heals his wounds extremely easily as Gaara creates them. Naruto finally takes off his weights, and with this enhancement and being unburdened, he is about equal to Lee in canon using the 8 gates. But the difference is, he can maintain this much longer than Lee could, and in a war of attrition, Gaara isn't going to stand up to this. Using his beast-tearing Gale Palm, Naruto makes a huge red chakra claw and punches Gaara with enough force to knock him through a wall and outside. Now I'm actually going to say that Neji struggles against Hinata because he can't really use chakra right now, but he would probably win. Hinata may be a small bit stronger, but she really isn't in critical condition. She's pretty much fine, though Neji still talks crap to her. All the other matches will go the exact same, and the final matchups are the exact same as well. Tenten gives Temari a better fight, but loses, and Lee saves her, with Naruto getting extremely angry when his friend is hurt. But we get Lee versus Neji and Naruto versus Sasuke. Jiraiya would likely approach Guy about training Naruto, and Guy would wholeheartedly agree to this, but he wants a day or so with he and Naruto and Lee, that way they can just focus on getting them all to train and learn something that he really wants to get them to know. But this is fine because he really wants to just focus on Lee for this while. Team 9 meet and Guy explains what they'll need to learn in 1 month. This is the 8 inner gates. This lesson for Naruto is a lot lighter than Lee's because he's really only going to get introduced to the concept before he has to go train with his new master. And summoning is still what Jiraiya seeks to teach Naruto, and he has noticeably less trouble with it, but still a bunch of trouble. Thankfully, he has a really good friend who can help him out. He calls in Tenten to explain how she summons her weapons, and she's pretty eager to tell him, as she probably has a very similar crush to what she had on Neji on Naruto. With her help, he is actually able to figure out summoning pretty quickly, so he is able to return to train with Lee and Guy, making Lee and Naruto way stronger than the canon versions in this timeline. I think over this month, they're able to figure out just enough how to open the first gate, but it can take a lot longer than it would if they had spent more time perfecting the skill. And maybe some slice of life stuff with Tsundere Tenten forcing Naruto to do things to her as payment for her help, something like that. When the finals arrive, Lee and Neji actually have a very good match. Neji is much stronger than in canon, and I feel that Kakashi wouldn't allow him to take an entire month off of training. Lee never showed how much he can do in the prelims, but Naruto has, and I'm 100% sure that he would make Neji train as Kakashi focuses on Sasuke, but if he were to train with, example, Ebisu, I think he could actually get stronger. Ebisu is one of those ninja who focuses on perfecting the fundamentals of shinobi life to such a degree that they stay relevant even without a cool Kekkei Genkai or clan technique. So with training like that, I could see Neji improving his chakra control to a really heavy degree, and he could even be pushed into using Shuriken and Kunai more to give him more long-range options. Lee has been stronger this timeline throughout, but he's also missing a lot of his experience here. So instantly he has to take off his weights, but Neji is actually a decent match for him, even like this. This would force him to go all out, and even with Lee struggling to open the first gate, once he's able to push past that limit, he moves towards second and third gate pretty easily, and the fight is virtually over at this point, as Neji doesn't really have anything that will give him the same defensive capability as Gaara, meaning he's just done. Other matches remain the same until we reach Sasuke versus Naruto, because in this timeline, Sasuke likely wouldn't be taught the Chidori since Kakashi probably doesn't want Naruto killed, and it's not like he has a weakness to lightning style ninjutsu. So Kakashi probably focuses on trying to help Sasuke develop his Sharingan as much as possible, and I think as talented as Sasuke is, he is probably able to fully awaken his Sharingan at this point. This would definitely make Sasuke stronger, but again, the sensei's influence comes into play as Naruto has been taught by Guy on how to fight Sharingan wielders. The two engage in hand-to-hand combat, with Naruto looking exclusively at Sasuke's feet, and his taijutsu still isn't as good as Canon Lee, yet it is still incredible to see them clash and make waves in the village. Now I think this battle ultimately comes down to a battle of attrition. With Kakashi knowing Naruto was his opponent, I imagine he would have begun to try to help Sasuke learn to suppress the power of a Jinchuriki, so without that, Naruto's only real trump card here is the 8 gates. Always wanting to push the limits, he begins to release way more than Lee had early on. moving all the way up to the 5th gate. While watching this, I believe Sasuke was actually able to copy this ability, and behind it, he is able to mirror that. But without Naruto's vitality and the proper training, he'd actually lose soon afterwards. Let's say he gets to about the 2nd gate. I'm not 100% sure if you can copy the 8 gates, but Kakashi knows it, and I imagine he either learned directly from Guy or he copied it, so it's gotta be possible in some way. From here, the Leaf Village Crush plan is set off with Gar going into a full possession state in the village away from the arena. I'm going to say that both Sasuke and Naruto are incapacitated, meaning the adults have to handle this, and that's not too big a problem. Jiraiya could likely summon Gamabunta and maybe even Gamaken at the same time, so Shukaku is probably really simple to take down. The 3rd Hokage would still die though, and there may be a few more deaths from the battle as a whole than in canon. I could actually see Naruto still being out of it when it is time to go seek out Tsunade as well though. So Jiraiya is actually going to have to go alone, but I think that Rock Lee and Tenten would insist that he take them along. After enough pestering, Jiraiya would relent and take them with him. I think Lee would try to train on the way, and Tenten would still ask more about Tsunade, more and more. I could actually see Jiraiya taking a look at the seals on Lee's weights, and I think he would try and mentor him on how to improve those seals. And this could possibly put the idea of learning seals in Lee's mind. But when this is brought up, Lee mentioned that he can't really use chakra or activate his own, but this gives Jiraiya an idea. He takes a brush and some ink and draws a bit on Lee's hand, and produces a Rasengan. He then tells Lee to touch the Rasengan, and when he does, the chakra of the attack is absorbed into the seal. Jiraiya then directs him to try and use his chakra, and Lee does, but when it happens, he creates his own Rasengan. Jiraiya explains that it was a very low level chakra absorption seal, so it would just take in outside chakra from another ninjutsu to be embedded into the users for later use. Because Lee couldn't use his own chakra, he'd adjusted the seal to be more of an absorption and mirror effect. He would be able to absorb chakra and then mirror the attack like this. Now Lee wants to learn sealing. Now, just to move quicker because I don't want to leave this story here, Tsunade is brought back to the village after Lee and Tenten fight their little hearts out. This makes Tenten highly appraised in the eyes of Tsunade, and she actually offers to teach the girl once she's able to calm down some. Itachi and Kisame go to the hospital that Naruto and Sasuke are at, where they'd likely fight Kakashi, Kurenai, Guy, Asuma, and possibly other shinobi who may join in later since this is a more public place. And Naruto and Sasuke likely respect each other after their fight, and Sasuke may be a lot happier with his current power, especially if Kakashi has the same conversation with him that he does in canon. When the Sound 4 approach him, he actually activates his Sharingan and the first 3 gates, and at least whoops Jorobo's ass without really unleashing his curse mark because Jorobo's the weakest. That said, Neji likely isn't very happy, so this would likely result in him being corrupted and joining the side of Orochimaru, which I could actually kind of see happening to him, meaning we have a Neji retrieval mission. That said, the Sound 4, including Kimimaro, because Jirobo doesn't count anymore because he got beat so easily, would probably lose really easy because they have to fight a stronger Naruto, Lee, Choji, Shikamaru. There's all these ninjas coming after them, and I just don't think they're ready for that all at once, especially if Gaara and the Sen siblings still join in. So Neji is brought back to the Leaf and brought to justice, and I think that Naruto and Lee are taken on a 2-year training trip with Jiraiya, and Tenten trains with Lady Tsunade. I'm going to close the scenario out here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to post your what if suggestions in the comment section below. Next time we will have 3 all new scenarios. Remember to use the hashtag PlusUltraFam, PlusUltraFam, and watch your spelling because it does count. You guys know the drill by now. Please go and follow, join, or support everything that is listed in the description below. And remember to always take care of yourselves and that I love you. And as always, go beyond plus ultra. See you guys next time.